welcome everybody. Ken couldn't be here today because he's doing his civic duty over at the polls by helping Barbara. So what we're going to do is have each department give us an update what's going on, and we're going to start with Jeanne.
Hi, good morning everybody. Happy voting day. So the big news from the library for this month is we are just kicked off our community read, which is a community read is we Frontal Library helps sponsor that by sponsoring refreshments and some of the programs if need be. But a community read is where the community all reads the same book. And we get together to talk about the book and to enjoy some of the programs related to the book. We are reading Beantown Girls by Jeanne, which is a book. It's a historical fiction. It's based on World War II, but it's about the Red Cross Clubmobile nurses that go around and do donuts and coffees on the front line of the war. I started it. It is very good. We have the author coming. Jeanne is coming. She is a local from Melrose, so I had to have her on a Saturday. That's Saturday, March 14th. The Friends are sponsoring refreshments for that. We'll do donuts and coffee and probably White's Bakery and stuff. But she's coming from Melrose, so I couldn't really have her at night because of the traffic and trying to get down to the South Shore. So she'll be at the library at 11 o'clock. I am having a sign up for that because I have to have her in the community room. So if anybody wants to come, just give me a call at the library and I will put you on the list. I'm hoping to get, I can put in about 50 people, so that should be good. So everybody's welcome. The book's great. I have books for everybody.
So I'm just going to answer that.
Yep, so come on down. I have books and I have brochures that list all the different programs. We did a Stop the Bleed program here at TRIAD. So PJ, he's lieutenant. I didn't realize that. He's Lieutenant PJ Hogan from the Halifax Fire Department. He's going to come and do that expanded version of Stop the Bleed. That's also a Saturday. I believe it's April 11th. It's April 11th. It's one of our last programs. So that's actually a 2-hour program. And he does the PowerPoint that he does here, but then the second half of the program that he wasn't able to do here was a hands-on tactical, showing you how to bandage everything. So I'm looking forward to that too. Also have 2 nursing graduates from Halifax, from Halifax residents, Kevin Pava and Amy Barry, who pinned as nurses, and they're going to talk about their journey. Both took different courses in order to get their, nursing pins. So they're going to talk all about their journey from high school on. So that's Nursing Day, and that's March 11. We still have genealogy and categories, and I left some calendars up there. So thank you.
Dottie from Generation?
Yes, March 23rd, we're having a Generations meeting, and it's been changed from Henry Todd to the Holmes Library at 10 o'clock.
And can I just put in, Dottie, that the library is closed, but just bang on the door, ring the bell, don't be turned off if you see that the library is closed or think that time is wrong. So it's 10 o'clock at the library.
Right.
And what's the date?
March 23rd.
Good. Thank you.
Also on May 2nd, we have Generations is doing a pancake breakfast here at the police station. It's going to be from 9 to 11. We're serving pancakes, juice, coffee, and I'm going to sneak in some sausages. And that's $5. And that's $5 a person. And I need to know by the end of April, say the last Saturday in April, I forget the date. It's
Probably the 25th, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be in the newsletter. I just dropped off the information to Debbie.
And who are they contacting to sign up?
Dottie Martell.
Okay.
Yeah, I put my phone number on
Okay.
the thing. And then on April 19th, Generations is going to the Company Theater to see Oz. And that's $30 a person. I got 15 tickets. I have 9 left. And I need to know by March 30th who was going. And also call me, Dottie Martell, 781-801-4822. Okay, that's the meeting, Oz.
Pancake breakfast.
Is it the Wiz? Oh,
The Wiz, I'm sorry, it's the Wiz. It's a flyer I put up in the Council on Aging. I hope you don't mind, so.
No, that's fine.
And that's it.
Okay. All right, is there anyone here from the Sheriff's Department? No.
We are.
Oh, you are? I can't see you.
She's hiding. She's hiding.
It's your turn. You got nothing to
report,
Okay.
other than we're gonna start planning the big triad luncheon at the farm.
All
I don't
right.
know, our numbers are kind of still down, which is a good thing. Thinking of anything else?
We have 2 new triads we're starting this year. This spring, actually, we have Hingham in West Bridgewater. And just to let you all know that we all use your triad as one of their better ones, because of the way you guys pull it all together. So just kudos to all of you. And what else?
The language has changed a little bit in the National Triad Program. I don't know if you all have thoughts on this, but they changed senior citizens to older adults.
That's nice.
As well as they took a law enforcement, public safety to be more inclusive with, instead of just fire or dispatch, different agencies.
I don't think anybody's curious.
No, yep, it's on. I wrote it down. I don't want to get in trouble. All right.
Yeah, we were just talking.
And there's no one here from police or fire. Did I forget anybody?
Well, just the DA's office, but I spoke
Yeah.
up with the
Well,
sheriff.
that's what I figured. Okay.
Busy as always, but again, it's just the same right now. The big one is just the Social Security calls, which I'm sure you're probably all getting. Or just tell your friends, don't answer them, they're not going to call, because we do have people that are providing information. So I'm not sure, is that in the newsletter or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is.
We get a
I'll
lot
check.
of calls about that.
Okay. All right. And then it's my turn. So there's not a ton going on at the Council on Aging, but there's always something. I am meeting with the selectmen on March 10th to discuss GATRA. They have gotten an initial proposal. We're at the very early stages of it, but I'm glad we're re-exploring it. Apparently we did back in 2012, and they didn't move. They decided not to. I'm sorry?
What is that?
GATRA. So basically it's to provide more transportation for seniors and disabled people in the community by giving them more means for independent transportation. So I'm hoping that that moves forward, but I will keep you updated. I also have been appointed to the Building and Needs Committee. That is a subcommittee of the Building Committee to explore the different issues that each department is having as far as their building needs. We're going to determine which departments need to have their facilities renovated or replaced in the next several years, what programs and services these departments offer, the physical requirements building needs to provide those services, and what town-owned, privately owned parcels are available to place these facilities. So we're exploring the whole picture. So hopefully that will get us our senior center, but it's going to be a while. We're waiting to get back plans from the engineer regarding the roof repairs. I am hearing there is a possibility we might not be able to stay in the center while that is under construction, but it's got to go out to bid. It's a long process, so we'll have plenty of time for planning, and I will keep everyone updated on that too. Let's see, we have our St. Patrick's Day luncheon coming up next week. If you haven't signed up for that, it's March 10th at 12 o'clock. We got that. There was a woman, Kathleen Nolan. She used to do crafts at the center. She had stopped, and she's coming back. And so her first class is going to be March 11th at 1:30. If you want to sign up for that, the cost is $3. We're still getting the bread and baked goods on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So if anyone has a need for that, and we're still looking for a van driver. So spread the word. And I think that's the census. everyone should be getting a postcard in the mail, but I think they're starting to go out between March 12th and March 20th. They're gonna start out by sending out a postcard to give you the option to complete your census online. If they don't get a response from you, then they will mail you out the paper version to fill out. If you don't fill out the paper version, then they're gonna start knocking on doors. So if anyone needs help filling that out, we're more than happy to help anybody with that, and it's really important. So I'm gonna keep saying it over and over and annoying you guys, and I'm sorry, but it is a big deal, so. All right, I think that's it, right? I'm gonna have Jerry read her report from last month.
Okay, we pretty much went through anything. We did do a few updates. Jeanne had done a lot of updates on the internet for us, and it's working out quite well. Everybody seems to be more informed of what's going on, which is really helping a lot. And let's see. We have 2 trips this month, which Dottie already said. And we have today, wait a minute.
Who did we have last week? Yeah, we are reading last month. Who did we have last month?
Last month, yeah. Where did it go? I had it here. Hang in there. I got it written down here.
Hi, Chief.
We did the safety check last year.
Yes,
Last
yes.
month. Safety net.
Yep.
And it was a very, very interesting setup, and we kind of learned a lot, and things that we need to do and things that we can let go, but it was very interesting. And today our guest speaker is Ralph, sorry.
No. Jim. This is Jim. No,
Oh, wait a minute.
I
Okay.
have that.
Okay.
Ralph was my uncle.
There you go.
Everybody
Okay.
remembers Ralph, right?
So just real quick before we get into that, due to
Okay.
Ken not being here, the elections of offices, which is just Ken and Jerry, they're not going to have it today. They're going to do it at next month's meeting, which next month's meeting will be on April 7th, and the speaker will be Chris Plant of the Mass Equipment Distribution Program. He will discuss adaptive telephone equipment, the silent call procedure, and text 911 feature. This program was suggested by our police chief. Our speaker today is Jim Hayward of the Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. His program this morning is called Wild Beginnings, which is the history of our cranberries. All right, Jim. We're gonna
Yeah, we can get out of your way here.
You gotta have to turn this thing back on, right?
we picked the wrong seat.
Is that yours? No.
That's why I said here.
I'll start with the propaganda. Not a problem. These are sweet dried cranberries. Not pushing any particular brand, I'm not allowed to. Anybody else? All set? You can get them on the way out if you want, or... There we go. I'll begin. Again, my name is Jim Hayward. I'm a cranberry grower. I have been for about 40 some odd years. I have cranberry bogs in Carver, but I'm a lifetime Halifax resident. I've been here my whole life. There we go. My family moved here just after the Thompsons in 1640. We moved here about 1680.
Thank you.
Thompsons moved in on Thompson Street. We moved in on Hayward Street. Not a problem. Make sure everybody gets up. Oh, sorry. You got some ocean spray and some deepest farm here. Like I said, I'm not allowed to push anyone in particular for it. Over here, everybody? I got extras too, so I'm not taking them home with me. My kids are sick of them. Okay, like I mentioned, I gotta get on that side. Those are independent cranberries from Beacon's Farm. There's 2 types of growers in Massachusetts, Ocean Spray and Independent. Independent usually ends up being your store brands, Stop and Shop brands, whatnot. Ocean Spray says Ocean Spray. Ocean Spray is actually owned by the Cranberry Growers. It's a cooperative. They own the company. Board of directors and whatnot. Presentations by the Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association called Wild Beginnings. The Growers Association consists of about 60 to 70% of cranberry growers here in Massachusetts. It's an association, advocacy group for legislation, conservation, whatnot. And let's see, which button is it?
F5.
This one?
Good.
Okay. Okay, that basically shows the area. It starts off slow. It gets more interesting. Some of these slides are more geared towards conservation groups, earth removal. Okay, that's the name of the cranberry plant. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce it.
After all these years?
Yeah, oh yeah, not even. I'm not very good at Latin. One of 3 native fruits to New England, or even North America. There's the cranberry, there's the Concord grape, and anybody know the third? Just like a cranberry, only it's blue. Blueberry. Cranberry bogs, they grow in acidic soils, sandy soils. We need fresh water supply, cool temperatures, and then the chillish hours at night for to go into dormancy. Like I said, if you drive by a cranberry bog right now, you're going to notice they're almost red, crimson red. They're dormant. They're still taking up a slight amount of nutrients. They're still alive. They're not dead. And over the next 6 to 8 weeks, they'll start to change color and turn green. Again, Vaccininium macrocarpone. I'll lie, you can just agree with it. But basically, the different soil layers. Clay on the bottom to help hold the water, because we do flood periodically for winter flood and for harvest. Gravel for drainage, a little bit of loam, and then sand. They love to grow in sand. They're a vine. And that's kind of a cross-section of a ditch where you can see the clay or the peat, the sand. And those are just coming out of dormancy. So that's probably, beginning of March. Again, I'm not going to say it again. But as you can see, it's actually a cranberry vine. It grows along the ground, it generates roots, and then the crop comes off the uprights. The uprights go into bloom, usually 3 to 5 to 7 flowers. You can almost see them. I wish I had pointed out. This particular photograph, these are berries that have already formed, but these are the actual flowers. And cranberries got their name from the flower because it looks like the head of a crane. I didn't start that, somebody else did. Native Americans. They ate cranberries, fresh, ground, mashed, cornmeal, baked them into breads, mixed berries with wild game. They made a product called penicillin, which they actually used as like an antibiotic. And they mixed it with, it's down the bottom, brewed cranberry poultice to draw poison from arrows and wounds, tea to calm nerves, juice as a dye. So cranberries actually date back about 12,000 years here in Massachusetts. Sassamanish, and the Pequots call it Ibimini. First Thanksgiving, did they have cranberries at the first Thanksgiving? Yes, absolutely. The Indians provided it. They grew wild here for centuries. And there we go. I'm getting ahead of the slides here. So that's the physical flower that once it gets it pollinated, it turns into a berry. And it's named Cranberry. It looks like the head of a crane. Swampy origins of bog iron. Brown hematite is found in most of our ponds, low-lying areas. Probably more so towards the Carver area than around here, although they did take bog iron out of Mount Ponce Pond way back. Yeah. Spongy iron ore mixed with water plants. And that's actually still in existence in Carver, it's still Cranberry Bog. That's a federal furnace. Oh, there he is.
Man of the hour.
Go on in.
No, there's no lines over at the Paws, and the woman I worked with every year, we finished doing all the absentee ballots. And still, Barbara, she said, well, you can go if you want. We've got more people we need here. No lines, nobody's showing up.
Yeah.
I showed up.
There's the shortest year I've had over there.
Well, throughout southeast Mass, they found this low grade of iron.
Yeah.
And some of the newer bogs that were built back in the 1830s, 1840s were the result of digging up the bog iron. And they didn't know what to do with the resulting holes, so they built more cranberry bogs. Numerous furnaces in southeast Mass. Carver had 8 blast furnaces between 1735 and 1835. Benjamin Ellis, cast iron senator, owned federal furnace. It provided cannons for the USS Constitution during the War of 1812. And that's on Federal Furnace Road in Carver. Bog iron. The steel industry in this area developed in the 1800s. Old bog iron pits were converted into cranberry products. I keep getting ahead of these slides, huh? Federal Furnace became Federal Furnace Cranberry Company in Carver. '200th anniversary in 216 of the first commercial cranberry bog. Revolutionary War Captain Henry Hall Dennis from Cape Cod. He owned a fleet of merchant ships. I guess being politically correct to say he was in the whaling industry. But he's the first one accredited with commercial growing of cranberries. Cranberries were essential. Maybe it's on the next slide. I won't get ahead again. No. Anyhow, Captain Henry Hall realized that cranberries were the only source of vitamin C in the Northeast. And they used vitamin C to prevent scurvy. Building a bog. I don't see my backhoe or my excavator. Carrying cranberry vine. New bogs are actually grown by harvesting old vine. You mow the vine off the old bogs, you put down a bed of sand, and then you just poke the vines in the ground and you grow a new bog. There it is there. You can see in the background that the woman's on her knees just putting cranberry vine into the ground. The other gentleman's raking rows for her to put them in. But they won't grow from seed. The seeds are sterile in all cranberries. It's either through cross-pollination or just cutting the vines. First book on cultivating cranberries in North America, 1856. My location in Carver, I have about 40 some odd acres of bog. 2 of the bogs were planted in 1860 and it's still the same vine.
Wow.
Maritime and cranberries, here we go. I did get ahead of it. Packed in barrels on ships because it was high in vitamin C and it was used to prevent scurvy. They packed it in barrels and they let it ferment. So they drank their cranberry juice.
Wrong with that?
Yeah, it was a form of New England grog. Grogs down south was actually rum and water to prevent scurvy. We used cranberries. Cranberries were harvested by hand. We were just talking about that, hand scooping. Right up until about the 1940s. We were slow to adapt to any type of mechanized machinery. But they lay out strings to keep people honest. You had to stay between those strings and work from one end of the box to the other. And you got paid by the box. Young girl carrying pails, yeah, that's a famous picture. I don't know who it is. And there you can see, those are the barrels. The barrels are about 100 pounds each, and those two guys are carrying 2 barrels on a stretcher.
I finally did that.
Yeah. And they're still in their woolen jackets and suits and ties and bowler hats and dressed for the occasion. I pushed the button. There it is. Oh man, it's a little bit slow. Nantucket. Nantucket's got a substantial number of cranberry bogs on it. And these bogs here, it's hard to tell where the cranberry starts and the weeds end, or the weeds start and the cranberries end. But same thing, they're all dressed in their Sunday best and love them. Big cranberries. Wooden boxes replaced barrels shortly after. About 1920, 25, they changed over from barrels because the shipping industry or the merchant ships were kind of on their demise. So the next thing they had to do was put them in wooden crates because they're going on railroad cars. In fact, where Dunkin' Donuts is in Hanson, the building across the way, that was the original Ocean Spray.
Wow.
And it started a whole new industry for our area, box mills. There's quite a number of water-powered box mills in our area. They built boxes for both the cranberry industry and the shoe industry in Brockton. Snap scoop. This little guy's not picking a whole heck of a lot of berries with a scoop that size, but that's it, 1887. Modern technology in 1887. That's a full-size scoop on the left. And you've got to push it through the vine and rock it back and forth and pull it, and it's labor intensive. I do it for about 3 minutes a year, once a year. Just to take samples, color samples for my handler. 1890s. Young woman with her galvanized pail and her scoop. There's a good-looking group of men.
There's a woman in there.
Yeah, a woman in the background there, yeah. I kind of miss the old days like that, but... Cranberry screening. These plants were built by Hayden Manufacturing in Carver, Massachusetts. They were the only manufacturer of cranberry separating equipment, and a majority of them are still in use today. These probably date back to around 1870, 1880, 1890. Yeah. And if you look real close to the one on the left, you'll see a series of boards. A good cranberry is supposed to bounce 7 times before it's considered a good one. And then there's a woman separating out the colored ones. This was at Federal Furnace back in the heyday, back in the 40s, 50s. And that's how they hand separated. The long conveyor went down, went to a boxing machine, they put in boxes and then shipped off. Bill Steenhausen. Yep. Cranberry sauce, first sold commercially in 1912. Sold in cans in 1941. That's question. Cranberry juice, cocktail, and juice about 1930s. We've been around a little while. Yeah, there's the heavy equipment. Those are known as furkers, and they both prune and harvest at the same time, so they can actually work through the vine at a decent pace. It's about walking speed. You're picking about 2.5 feet wide. One man with one of those machines can probably pick about 1/2 acre a day. And the bulk bins in the back upper right-hand corner, you'll see the big gray now. They hold about 150 pounds. We stack them in stacks of 3. And Those are full of cranberries, fresh fruit. And hopefully, this next slide, there it is. That's how we get them off the board today. We won't carry them. That's JBI, Gil Brigham's. He does the majority of the flying in this area. During the summer months, he flies on fertilizer. In the fall, he can pick those up and set them right on the tractor trailer within inches of where it's gotta go. Very accurate. Plus, it's about $700 an hour. Wet harvesting. Most of what I do is wet harvesting. The machine on the right, you can see the reel on the front. We flood the bogs to the point where we can still see the vines sticking through, so we can see where we're going. And also, if the wind changes direction and starts to blow the berries one way or the other, it doesn't blow them where we haven't picked yet, so we can't see. But it just kind of gently knocks the berries off the vine, they float. Yeah, like I said, 96% of growers today are wet picked. Why wet harvest works? The interior of a cranberry is hollow, so they float. Nice color there. Innovators. Cyrus Caitlyn, Harwich, Mass. He developed the first variety called Early Blacks. And Abel Denison Makepeace, 80 Makepeace. Everybody heard of Makepeace? Largest cranberry grower in the world. They're also the largest private landowner in Massachusetts. The older cranberry vines, Early Blacks, Howe, Bugle, Sentinel, Matthew, Farland, Roundhouse, Shaw Success. Today, Early Blacks and Howes are still the most dominant variety of cranberries in Massachusetts.
They grow on the same vine or different types of vines?
Same vine. Oh, these? They do vary slightly. Cranberries, we have early varieties, mid-season varieties, and late-season varieties. And they only vary about 6 weeks. So in early harvest, the end of September, we'll start with our early varieties. Once those are done, we go our mid-season and our lates.
Do they taste a lot different? Like, you know how
They can. They can, yes. Yeah, they say the Early Blacks are kind of as sweet as a cranberry can be. They're still all very bitter when you're eating raw. Yep. And they also vary in size, the quantity of color. And what we're finding now is the pharmaceutical companies, they're starting to do a lot of research with using cranberries, and they prefer the old earlies and how varieties over all the new ones. Higher in antioxidants, the old varieties. Rules for branding. It's hard for me to read from here, but that's some of the other varieties. Plymouth Rock, Pilgrim, Magnolias. There's about 600 different varieties of cranberries. Those are the old box labels. They were always very colorful. And when you go to your grocery store back then, those labels would be on the end of a wooden box, and you just help yourself grab a handful of berries, or you buy them by the pound. Eat More is still around today. Cape Cod Cranberries is not. Turkey brand, Chandler brand, Skipper brand, there was Mayflower brand. There it is, Eagle Holt. Eagle Holt is still in existence today. Long Distance, Cape Cod Cranberries. But yeah, very colorful labels back then. They're antiques. And here it is. The quarter barrel box is what you find in most of the stores back then. Grocery stores, even the hardware stores would carry cranberries. And some of the diseases. Up until from about 1900 to, well, I'd say 1940, Massachusetts and New Jersey had about the same number of cranberry bogs. They were hit in New Jersey with this violet or blunt-nosed leafhopper. And today we've got about 16,000 acres of cranberries here in Massachusetts. New Jersey down to about 3,000, mostly because of this. First hybrid was Stevens.
What kind of cranberries do they put in cranberry sauce?
It's wet picked. But wet picked, yeah, what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, the different brands.
Yeah, those were all fresh fruit. Most of those labels date before 1920, and the only thing available was fresh fruit. Like I said, they didn't come out with sauce or juice till after 1912. But yeah, this is USDA breeding program established in 29. Came out about 1950 was the variety Stevens. Higher yielding, disease resistant. And as you know, today we have a surplus of cranberries as a result of some of that. Other varieties, Bergman, Pilgrim, Franklin, 6 more in 2000 Bruckers, Crimson Queen, Mullica Queen, Demerangel, Scarlet Knight, Welker, and Haynes, several from Wisconsin. The early native varieties, they probably produce between 75 and 200 barrels to the acre. The varieties from the 1950s would produce between 300 and 400 barrels to the acre. We have varieties now that will do 800 barrels to the acre, or 80,000 pounds to the acre. Yep. We've gotten really good at growing them, but we're not so good at selling them. There we go there. The early blacks and hows are, yeah, over half the bogs here in Massachusetts are the old varieties. Back in the 1990s, they started putting in Stevens, Benliers, Mullica Queens, and the other are fairly recent. They've only been around maybe 7 to 9 years. And they're not GMOs, they're done by cross-pollination. That's us, Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. We were founded in 1888. And we're famous for standardizing the size of a barrel, which is 100 pounds. We also help develop better marketing of crop and uniform. Zeba Small Harwich, our first president. To enhance the sustainability and profitability of CCCGA members, represent the mass cranberry industry. Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. The picture on the right is corralling. Those are hybrids, I can tell by the color. The machine on the right is a new type of equipment we have for harvesting. There's really no moving parts. There's no longer a reel. It's more like just tines, flat tines. Pushes through the cranberries. If you notice on the right, it's GPS guided. Doesn't matter how deep the water is. You can work night, day. And we've got about a dozen of those. That's where all the bogs are here in Massachusetts. Used to be more dominant on the Cape, but they got better at growing houses than cranberry logs. About 375 growers in Massachusetts, 14,000 acres of olive. We're a relatively small group. Every acre active cranberry bog, we have about 3 to 4 acres of support land or upland, our reservoirs, our work areas. And we try to be conservationists. We enjoy having the wildlife around. Some wood duck boxes on somebody's reservoir. Industry background. 70% of growers farm 20 acres or less. Multi-generation. We've got some that are 5 generations now. 25% of the growers are under age 50. I'm in the high bracket here, 50%. 25% are over 65. We got a number of growers that are still farming in their 80s. Yeah. New generation in the lower center there, that's Matt Rhodes' family. They're taking over the next generation. Yeah. No such thing as a retired farmer. Largest food crop in Massachusetts. We are the largest ag commodity in Massachusetts. Not because we want to be, I mean, we've lost everything else. As you know, poultry in this area used to be huge back in the 1950s, chickens. That was number one for a number of years. Then the dairy industry until that was bought out in 1977. And now cranberries is the largest ag crop in Massachusetts. Approximately $1.4 billion in economic value. It doesn't show in my income though. Growing regions. Massachusetts, New Jersey, Wisconsin, Washington, and Oregon. Up until 1988, Massachusetts was the largest growing region in the United States. Wisconsin took over shortly after that. Primarily more acreage. Like I said, we're about 14,000 acres, give or take. They got about almost 30,000 acres now. And we got competition. British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, Prince Edward Islands, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Yep. We started making a couple bucks, so they decided to get involved. Cranberry acres. So Canada, Chile, Washington, Oregon, New Jersey. We're down the bottom of Massachusetts, so Wisconsin, you can see there's, well, yeah, they're over 20, they're over 30,000 acres now. And Chile. Here's the pie. Wisconsin produces about 65% of all the cranberries in the United States. And we fluctuate 22 to 25%. Massachusetts, we grow just under 2 million barrels a year. Wisconsin's up around 6 million. And there's production. The blue one is Massachusetts. So for a number of years, we were number one. And what was it, 1994, 95? Yeah. In 1998, we had a huge market crash. Not because we overproduced, we actually produced less, but Wisconsin, you can see a spike. We were getting 60 cents a pound in 1998, we got 9 cents a pound in 1999. Yeah, and they're still out producing. We're kind of flatline. I mean, there's no room for us to expand in cranberry bogs in New England, so. If anything, we've been losing acreage. Export. Up until last year, we were doing quite well. Japan, Germany, France, Great Britain, Mexico, Australia. China was a huge market. China, anything that touched beneficial health, they love it. So they buy it right up. The cranberries full of antioxidants. They love the product. 2012, we opened up the market. We sold them 100,000 pounds. 2 years ago, we sold them close to 7 million pounds. Last year, they bought about 100,000 pounds again. There's an 80% tariff on cranberries going into China right now. Again with the words. But yeah, it's good for urinary tract infections. They do say there's some anti-cancer health benefits. Gut health, anti-aging. Do I look old? Heart disease, also prevention. Mostly, it's good for your gut health. The antioxidants and whatever that second word is. Superfruit. Different varieties. Juice, fresh cranberries, dried cranberries, which I just gave you, and sauce. And that's us, Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. Any questions? Comments?
Wasn't there just before Thanksgiving one year, remember they kept saying there wasn't going to be enough cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. Do you remember that?
It depends on what year it was, but yeah, we've had different issues in this area with supply and demand, yeah.
I didn't know if it was a propaganda or it was actually true.
No, as a matter of fact, this previous harvest season, we're down slightly. The crop estimate was supposed to be like 2.1 million barrels in Massachusetts. We produced 1.7. And now the handlers are scrambling because they're not going to have quite the quantity that they wanted. Yeah.
What caused the disease in New Jersey? What happened?
That particular one, it was a type of pathogen. They don't know if it's in the water or in the air, or it just, it's kind of like the new virus we got. It just crept up and started destroying their bogs, and they had no means of taking care of it. Yeah. They didn't have the fungicide treatments that we have today, so nothing they could do about it.
And it couldn't come back, really, but in those locations?
No, they got so far gone that it was more expensive to bring it back and whatnot. And at the same time, they're working more towards open space. The New Deal, which president was that? The New Deal. Started building dams, flooding a lot of uplands and areas, yeah. Anything else? Yes.
How much cold can the vines tolerate?
It varies throughout the season. Right now, going into the spring, we got something called the terminal bud, and the bud is what generates next year's crop.
Okay.
So once we get our irrigation systems up, then during the month of April, it'll start, we'll have to protect them for like 20 degrees from freezing, so we'll have to turn the sprinklers on. Doesn't make sense, but the water is actually warmer than the air, and warms them up. And as the season progresses, that tolerance goes about 32 degrees when we go into bloom. So,
It's not a lot of cold.
yeah, yeah. But during the winter, you'll see us flood. Believe it or not, that's to keep them from freezing.
Okay.
We put them in a layer of water, and the ice on top will freeze, but it's still 35, 40 degree water during the winter.
Oh, all right.
And it protects them from winter kill or burning or
That's
freezing.
why they used to kick us off the bonds.
Yeah.
We never understood it. Like when we were kids, they would kick us off the bonds
Yeah,
when they froze because of that.
yep.
It's interesting.
I wouldn't kick you off. I like to skate. Yeah. Yeah. No, we usually, years ago, we'd have a bonfire
But
and
you
have the
wouldn't
kids
think they were
skate.
growing. You know what I mean? You wouldn't
They're
have
still
thought
alive,
they were growing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still alive. Yeah. Yeah.
How about the opposite, like the heat, is there a temperature that's too hot that might
Oh, yeah,
cause?
during the summer months, yeah, heat and humidity, yeah. Yeah, we have to keep them irrigated. Yep,
Same kind of process
same
then?
process, yep. Even the timing of your irrigation, if you put the irrigation out in the early morning, it gets hot during the day, they'll cook the cranberries. They'll just steam them. So, gotta be cautious about that. Yep. Anything else?
How long water do they use? Do you use brackish or fresh? Do these all fresh?
Well, it's fresh water, yeah, it won't take brackish at all.
How long from when you plant does it end up?
Yes, good question. It takes about 3 years. Yep, by the time you plant to get all the vine in and grow sufficiently enough where you can pick it without ripping the old vine out. You gotta have a good root zone established. Yep, about 3 years. Yeah, like I said, the new hybrids actually grow in faster. I mean, they're designed to be the best there is. Like I said, some bogs are 7,500 pounds the acre, and some of these guys are doing 80,000 pounds the acre. Yeah.
Do you have to rotate your fields or you just?
Nope, they're annuals. They're there, like I said, I got some that are 1860. Same vine. Yeah. And you'll see us go up periodically and we'll put sand out on the bog. And all we're doing is burying the old dead growth to promote new growth. But that vine will stay alive for, well, mine are almost 200 years old. Yeah. They're not the most desirable variety, but like I said, the pharmaceuticals are coming around. If they're willing to pay a premium for something that's a little better quality, I'll keep them.
I went to a birthday party the other night at Burke's Ale Works in Hanover, and they had a beer that had cranberries that was in it, so I don't know. I know that's a big thing now, our brewery.
Yep, it's getting there,
so
yep.
It was pretty good.
Thank you. We're trying to get Budweiser to jump on that.
You can see how, because I've heard of blueberry,
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's
citrus, blueberry, yep. Yep.
I'm not a big beer drinker, but pretty good. That's all they really had other than water.
Yeah.
I had to support it, Could
have brought a sample.
I know. If I had thought of it, I should have.
6-pack. Anything else? Anybody else? Nothing? No?
The only question I had was, we have bogs in back of us, and we don't enjoy it, is the helicopter spraying. When they sprayed, for the helicopter to get down in the valley, for some reason, they start the spray coming out, and we get in our backyard. Is it cheaper to spray by helicopter rather than put the spray into the water itself?
For one thing, they're not spraying a chemical, they're putting out a granular fertilizer.
Well, it sure smells.
It probably contains urea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a smell, isn't it? My wife told me the smell lasts about all day before it clears up.
Before it clears
If
up.
they do it by helicopter.
Yep.
So it's not fertilizer that comes out?
It is fertilizer. Yep. Yeah, whereabouts you located?
Circuit Street.
Kenny
I
Harding.
think you said you knew who owned
Kenny,
that.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harding.
He did a beautiful job on the box, they're perfect, but I just wish they could put this, what it is they put in the water, can't they do it through the piping rather than spray?
There are alternatives with liquid fertilizers, but they're not as efficient. The granulars works the best. Yep.
But it's more expensive though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Everything in your yard must be growing.
Yeah, well, what's growing is not cranberries.
No, but yeah, it's very similar to what you would use for lawn fertilizer. It's slightly different components. Like 18 is primarily what we use on cranberry.
Maybe it's what makes the pine trees grow.
Maybe. But yeah, the helicopter is primarily fertilizer. You won't see them putting out pesticides or fungicides, herbicides. That's all done through the irrigation. Yeah. Anybody else?
If somebody have a question about how long does a bog last, I don't know if anyone had that question.
Forever. Forever. As long as you take care of it.
If you take care of it, you don't have to replace
You
it.
don't have to replace it unless you want to upgrade to a hybrid or something, replant or rebuild. But the vines out there will last forever. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like I said, a majority of them in this area are from somewhere between 1840 and 1920. Over 50% of the bogs. Yeah. And my newest bog was built in 1988. My newest one. Yeah. Back when I had money. I shut this thing off.
Did everyone sign the sign-up sheet? And I send out the email reminders, so if you want to get your name on that, if you haven't been receiving them, please be sure to sign.
Everybody got cranberry samples, or you want some more? Or? Okay. I put them over there.
The only other thing I forgot to mention was that the speaker for the May 5th meeting is John Buckley from the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds. And part of his talk will be about the Homestead Act. And the new statute covers mobile homeowners, so I don't know if anyone would be interested in that.
Yeah, I got some. I got it done.
That is
Can I take a copy of those?
Put them in the car.
Those emails.
Oh, yeah. Organic? Yeah.
It's Ken.
The watermelon was something I tried to push for the summer months. So I went along with what the bar.
Got the first of the two.